Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to quickly introduce the Agile Breakfast and us, and then it's going to be over to our guest speaker, Sam, today. He's got a very interesting topic to talk about, and we don't want to take too much time away from him. So, the Agile Breakfast, it was started by the three of us, me, Manuel, and Sam. Manuel and Sam cannot make it today because of some other commitments. We started this at Flixbus over 2 years ago. Now we are three coaches working in very different organizations, but we still wanted to keep this going. This is not a training. It's just us sharing little bits and pieces of information related to Agile, which will hopefully make you curious, want to really know more about these topics. And our idea is that there's something that you can always take back from each of these breakfasts. Um, Having said that, that's also one of the things that we keep getting a lot, that they want to know more. So what we're also offering is workshops which will allow us to go deeper into specific topics. So if you're interested in any of these topics or workshops, feel free to get onto our website, agilebyexperience.com, and register for the trainings. Our idea is to make sure that we have a small group of people, take one topic, go deeper into it, and probably give you something which you could really take back and try at once with your organization. So this is something that we want to try. So we want to know how you like it. So please feel free to go to our website and register if this is interesting to you. And then I have the pleasure of introducing our guest today, Sam. He's going to be talking about something very interesting, a problem I would say that a lot of us face. How do we test our business ideas? So I'm not going to say much here. I'm going to allow Sam to introduce himself and not take away too much time from his presentation. So welcome, Sam. Thank you for taking the time to do this with us. And it's all yours now.
Thank you very much, Shiva, for the introduction. Thank you for setting up the stage. Also, please send greeting to Manuel and Sam later. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for joining this session. Yeah, as has been announced, I'm going to share with you business about how to test business ideas. So I'm going to share with you my desktop and start the presentation. Yes. Yeah, this is me. I was from China. I came to Germany about 18 years ago after my first study in China of polymer science and study industrial engineering in Berlin. And then 10 years ago, I moved to Upper Franconia, is the north part of Bavaria in Germany. And I have been working in a large corporate in the area of innovation management in the last few years. And at the end of last year, I left the company because of the change in the company structure. And I'm now freelancing and giving some lectures in the university, doing coaches for company in the local area. And that's roughly about me. Yeah. Maybe I'm married with 2 kids. If you're interested. Yeah, I want to start with a short story. Last week, I happened to met a former colleague of mine who we used to, with whom I used to work in an innovative project to set up an e-commerce platform. And he shared with me some of the current status of how the project is going right now. And he shared with me that, okay, we have figured out a new target group. We have to readjust our target group for the e-commerce platform before three weeks ago, and we are very happy about the current progress of this project because we can learn quite a lot by switching the target group of our solution to the new target group. And we have learned quite a lot within 3 weeks of time. And he also said that, okay, they switched the target group. This target group was never considered to be important or possible, because no one from the management was convinced that, okay, we should adjust this target group with our e-commerce solution. But anyway, as I said, he's very happy about the progress, and the project team can learn quite a lot. And it sounds for me that the e-commerce solution that the project team has been built up is finally start targeting the right target group of people, the right people and their pain points. But almost 3 years after the launch of this project. And because of the time and confidential issues, I'm going to share detail about this platform, about this project. Wanted to say with this story of this my experience is that on the one hand, I, as the former member of this project team, I'm very happy about the current progress of this team. They're making progress and they figure out something correctly. And on the other hand, this switch happens 3 years after the launch of an innovative project. It's a long period of time. And I know such cases is happening quite often in large organizations. And this is the reason why I'm interested about how to test business ideas in a systematic way. Yeah, and this morning I'm going to share with you some. My sharing consists of 3 parts. The first part is limited input about the theory behind how to test business ideas in a systematic way. And the second part is a case study I've done some 2 months ago about an audio web from China, from my motherland. And I want to share some learnings to share with you the story behind. And last but not least, I'm also wanting some experience with some of my business ideas with different teams. And I want to share one of the story with you. So I would like to start with a very short survey. I want to know our participants this morning, how familiar are you with business model canvas? If you've never heard about that, which I don't believe, you can put 1 in the chat window. If you have experienced it and you're applying it on daily basis, you can put 5, and you can put something in between. So just give in your level or how familiar are you with business model canvas. Just help me to have a general idea about how is the status. Let me check that. 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Great to know. 3. Okay, something in the middle. Okay, 4 have applied. Okay. Yes, there's something in the middle. I think we have heard about it, most of us, and some are even some are experienced with the application, but that's okay. For those who are familiar with the topic business model canvas, please feel free to interrupt or correct me. I'm not going to have a very deep dive into this tool. I'm going to give you a very short introduction to the theory behind. So we have to start with business model canvas. This is a picture I download from the website of Strategizer. It is a tool developed by Alexander Osterwalder and the professor Pignerd. And it's a systematic tool to demonstrate a certain business idea. You can use it for analyzing your business, or analyzing the business model of your competitor, or you can list up the most important components of a certain business idea and change some of them to make new business idea, to make new business model, and to do business model innovation. You can find also thousands of examples on internet about Airbnb, Tesla, Amazon, and so on. And the template, as I mentioned, you can download free of charge on the website. I'm not going to go very deep into the 9 different fields in the business model canvas, I would start. I would focus in some very important areas. The most important area is the one in the middle, value proposition. It's actually about something you want to offer as a product, as a service, or whatever you want to address some problems for your potential target group for your customers. It's in the middle of the canvas. And to the very right hand side of the business model canvas, it's the customer segment, CS. It's about the target group I mentioned at the beginning with the example. Who are you addressing? What kind of their problems you want to address? And there's something in between, which is CR and CH, means customer relationship and customer channel. And to the very left-hand side, KP, it's about key partners. So it could mean your supplier or other business enablers you would like to include in your business idea to support your business, to sustain your business. And you want to keep in touch with your key partners, you need key activities, and you need some other resources, no matter hardware, software, people, and so on, to sustain the deliverance of your product or service in the middle. And that is the upper part of the business model canvas. And there are two fields at the bottom of business model canvas. To the left, it's cost structure, which means what kind of cost would be asked by running your business idea. And to the right-hand side, LS means the revenue stream. How do you generate your revenue in different ways? Yeah, this is the very basic of business model canvas. As I mentioned, it's a very important tool, a systematic tool to analyze your business idea. And now I want to give you to lift you to a level higher. It's not about the 9 fields. It's about what all these 9 fields are all about. To the left-hand side, you have the key partner, key activities, and key resources. It's actually about the feasibility of a business idea. Can you make your business idea become real? Can you produce your product? Can you deliver the value to your customer? And to the right-hand side, the 4 fields to the right-hand side is about the desirability of your business idea. Does your potential customer really want to have your solution? Are they really willing to pay for it? And that is about desirability. And at the bottom, it's about, very simple, it's about viability of your business idea. Can the revenue you generate with your business idea really cover the cost? Unless you're making non-profit organization or you're making charity, you want to make profit. And the profit comes from the revenue minus the cost you generated. And that's very simple, very logical, right? Now, for me, what
Sam,
is it? Yeah?
just a question that between feasibility and viability,
Yeah.
what is the difference? Feasibility is, can you really create the product? And viability is, can you make money out of it? Is that how it is?
Yes, generally. And if you go to the level deeper, go to the key resources, you need people to sustain your business idea. You need to hire people. If you're doing an internet e-commerce business, you need a server. This is the key resources you need. And it generates cost. And this will go into the field of cost structure. Wonderful. And by selling your idea, by selling your product, you generate revenue and recover costs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another question I think a lot of people also would have is that, do you use these business canvas only for software products, or can we use it for any kind of products? Yeah.
It's a universal tool. Yeah. Every business idea you generate should you can have a analyze, and then you can divide them to different areas in these 9 fields, and it helps you to have a systematic thinking to analyze your own business idea, to think in more detail. And that's the point. Thank you for pointing that out. And that's the point we usually do. What we usually do is that early in the morning, we have a brilliant idea. We want to have something. Maybe we can sell it. And then we are so fancy about it, and we fall in love with it. We want to get married with our business idea immediately. But it really worth of sitting down to use this systematic tool to analyze, okay, do I have a business partner? What kind of resource do I need? Can I generate revenue to cover my costs? And am I addressing the correct problem or the pain points of my potential customer? Yeah, and that's very helpful tool in my opinion. Okay, so again, I've said that already. Business model canvas. It's a systematic tool to document a certain business idea. But the information you put in the 9 fields of this business model canvas have different levels of reliability. Sometimes we can say that, okay, I have a very strong data number to say that, okay, I can do this. Sometimes we have just very rough ideas. We don't have any data. We believe that only, but we don't have any evidence about the information in the business model canvas. And that is important. And that's also the starting point to do testing business idea in a systematic way. First, you need this business model canvas, and it's a collection of assumptions of information you concerning your business idea. And you have to, the next step is to start testing business ideas. And now I'm going to show the next step of testing business idea. And that's it. We start with, as mentioned, we start with testing business idea. I have some examples for you. What kind of assumption we could generate from this graphic. One moment. Yes. Okay. One may be, I believe that my supplier can collaborate with me with the agreed price to support my business. Yeah. And then this is about to the left-hand side is about the feasibility of my business idea. The next one, I believe that my customer are willing to pay for my product via online payment. It's about payment. It's about customer relationship. How can they access to the value? How they can pay for it? It's about desirability. And the next one, I believe that I can sustain my business with my own capacity. For example, Agile Breakfast team, you can offer trainings, and without hiring any people to support your business, and this influence your cost structure. Yeah, and I believe that my customer are willing to pay for it on a monthly fee. This is a typical example, typical assumption for if you're using the revenue, you're generating your revenue in a subscription way, like Spotify and Amazon and so on, Amazon Prime. Okay, you can have more assumptions. The idea behind is, first, you gather all the information about your business idea by using the business model canvas, and then you turn all this information into assumptions to write it in another way, in another sentence, to start with, I believe. And then you start to categorize the different assumptions in a so-called assumption mapping. This is assumption mapping with only 2 axes, very simple. One X is about the importance of your assumptions, and the other X is about how evident are your assumptions. So very easy. You can put it. You can divide it into 4 quadrants. The quadrant A, you have assumption or information here, which is very, very important, very related to the survival of your business idea. And on the other hand, they are very strongly evident. You have data, you have your promise from the supplier, for example, you have the promise of your customer and so on. You don't have to do any experiment about it. And this is something you can put in quadrant A. And B and C, I'm going to start. Do I have to see already? One moment, I have some problem with the mouse. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. So once you're figuring that, Sam, I also want to ask you, basically, when you're talking about assumptions, these are not just assumptions, but you're also figuring out how many of these do you really know for sure, right? And that's what this quadrant is about.
What is quadrant?
So for
Yes.
example, if something is in quadrant A, that means they're not
Hmm.
assumptions, but more or less you have data that
Yes.
you don't
Yeah.
need, that's something that you can really trust.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely correct. And the B and C is quite obviously, they, no matter how strong or how weak the evidence are, they are not very related to your business idea. They are not very important, so you don't have to do anything about it. And the most important part, do you see the D right now, because it's covered by the check function? Is D right now? The D is the part where we have to design experiments to validate them, because these are very important assumptions, very important information, but we only have very strong belief in it. We don't have any data. We don't have any number to support our belief, to support our our opinion. So for this part, we have to design different experiments. Either after experiments, you can move it to B or C. Okay, it's not important for the success of a business. Or you can move it to A, means okay, it's important enough, and it's now I have numbers to support my argument. So that's the basic idea. Start with business model canvas, do the assumptions, and then put it into the assumption mapping and design experiments to validate those important things and move it to the other quadrants. And that's the basic steps. And I'm not going to have a deep dive into different kinds of experiments. In this book of Alexander Osterwalder and David Bland, they have listed up to 44 different experiments, but some of them are very popular to us, like doing a survey, doing customer interviews. You can do low profile prototype, you can do a high profile prototype, you can use 3D printing, you can use a flyer, something like that. You can do an internet landing page. You can do the 404 page, such kind of experiment. Altogether, 44, a very thick book of about 300 sites, but it's very easy to read, easy to understand. And the point is that uh, um, you figure out what are your assumptions to your business idea in the quadrant D, and you start thinking about how I can validate these ideas. The purpose is to move it to B or C or A in the end. And this is a short summary in between. Testing business ideas is about filling the missing gap between business design, which is actually the process of ideation, and business implementation. We use Scrum or other project management tools to build up our business to do it in a very agile way, to run the build, test, learn cycles iteratively. And the second thing is about, it's not about running all 44 different experiments or more. It's about focusing on the topic which we want to validate, which we want to design experiments. We want to get data, to get numbers. And last but not least, it is all about lowering your risk in building up a business, building up a new business, because we usually, in my experience, as I mentioned before, in large corporates, we have suddenly a brilliant idea, and we make very beautiful PowerPoints, and then we go to a certain meeting to get a budget. Once we get the budget, and we start to implement. The missing link is we don't do experiments in a very systematic way, and that's why I think the knowledge and the mindset behind testing business ideas is very important in managing innovation or whatever. This could be transferred to the other areas as well.
Yeah, one of the things
So,
that I picked up from your previous slide also is the need to do the experiments. One is obviously it's cost saving. You can obviously find this out by building a product and find out that it doesn't work. But running experiments are a cheap way for you to really find out if it works. It takes me back to one of the quotes that I heard from, I think, Marty Kagan, where he says more than 80% of all the products that we build fail. So a very, very small percentage that actually succeed. And
Yeah.
the best way to find out is to run experiments and not by building them.
Mhm. Yeah. One chip as experiments. Of course, if you're working in a large corporate, you have a huge amount of budget. You can run very expensive experiments, but it's not recommendable, especially for startups. You have to run very cheap experiment, very quick experiment to validate your ideas. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Wonderful.
That. So I'm going to move to the second part of my sharing. It's a case study which I've done. It's a, as I mentioned, it's a uh, audio book book review app from China. This is currently the #1 book audio app in China, which is called Fandeng Dushu. I guess you have difficulty in understand this the translation. Fandeng is the person, so you see in the picture, he's the one who is making all the book reviews on his own. Dushu is means reading in Chinese, so you can understand as kind of book club. Why am I interested in this case? Because I'm a user. I'm a wife. For example, I listen to the book reviews produced by him when I'm doing housekeeping on weekends. So this is then I'm going to share how he currently as the #1 in China, but it has 8 years behind it. The first business idea came about 8 years ago in 2013. So I'm going back to a little back to 8 years ago. This is the the business model canvas, which I did in the case study, but I'm not going to deep dive into it. I'm going to tell you what is the problem that this solution is going to address. So in the 2013, something like that, Fandeng, this person, figure out that there are kind of problem among the white collar employees. They work long hours in their companies, but they have the need to expand their knowledge by reading more books and so on. They have a very strong willing to increase their knowledge, to expand their perspective and so on. But they are lack of time, lack of motivation. They don't know how to choose the correct book to learn. If once they start reading a book, they don't have the strong motivation behind to finish reading it. So I buy one book and put in my bookshelf, and that's it. So that's the very typical problem that he addressed in some 8 years ago. So he had the business idea. Okay, guys, you have no time, you have no motivation, and you have difficulty in choosing books, making a decision. I, Fandeng, can help you to make your decision. I read a book for you, and I put the summary on PowerPoints, and I invite you, and I send this PowerPoint slides, like some 20, 30 slides, to you via email. If you're convinced with my business idea, if you're convinced with my service, with the quality of my service, you can pay an annual fee of about 45 euros to become a member, and you can get an unlimited access to all the book reviews I have done. So this is some of the assumptions that he made at the beginning. I believe that I can put book summaries on weekly basis in PowerPoint format. This person, Fandeng, used to be teaching in university. He's a TV moderator for TV programs. So he's kind of very capable person. He had the competence to read books very quickly and put them in summaries. But he is not a prominent, he's not a star and so on, but he is not nobody, I have to say. And the other assumption is that I believe that people would enjoy reading book summary before they made a decision to buy the book. And the third assumption is that I believe that people are willing to pay for an annual fee to receive my PowerPoints via email. So this is the most important basic assumptions in his business idea. You can put all these assumptions to the assumption mapping, which I showed you previously in the category D. He has a strong belief in that, but he didn't have the numbers. And in China, the most important or the most prominent communication tool is the WeChat. So he started to he and his team started to test this idea with the help of WeChat, which is something very popular and available. They don't have to pay for it at all. It's free of charge. So he invites people who are interested in receiving his book reviews into a certain WeChat group for a test period of 2 weeks time. And within the 2 weeks time, they can have unlimited access to the book reviews he has done before. And they can download the PPTs and so on. Sometimes they get emails in a very simple way. And once people are convinced with the content, with the quality of his book reviews, they pay for the membership. As I said, 45 euros per year. It's about 10 cents per day. So it's not a big deal for the white collar workers. So once they pay this annual fee and they become a member, they will be invited to a member-only chat group in WeChat. So after that, after they become member, they have unlimited access within a year to different kinds of book reviews. They will get new book review on weekly basis, and that's the experiment. I'm not going to show you what their findings after some period of doing this experiment. They find out that, okay, people are willing to pay for the annual fee via email. People are working in companies, they have no problem at all to spend this 45 euros for 1 year to get something very informative. And the second point, okay. The assumption that I can put book reviews on weekly basis in PowerPoint format is no problem. As I mentioned, he is a capable person. He can do this in a very systematic way in PowerPoint formats, no problem at all. And the interesting thing is that after running a few experiments, he and his team did interviews, did surveys, and they find out that, okay, people are still not reading books. They don't even download the PowerPoints to go through the slides to understand the content of the book reviews at all. So from a pure business point of view, I am earning money and my business is going to sustain. I can be very happy lying there. But actually, he want to think for a longer term. He want to solve the problem. He want to help to address the pain points of these white collar workers. So he think, okay, people are not downloading. They receive my email, they receive the PPT, but they're not downloading this to go through. And actually, the solution that a book review, a book summary in PowerPoint format does not really solve the problem of these people. They're not helping the people to make decisions for buying books. They're not helping people to increase and expand their knowledge. So he want to test a new idea. The new idea is that I turn these PowerPoints into audio format, which we should know at the beginning because I introduced that. So he do the recording of the book review and send it via voice message in WeChat. So people who are members, they can download the whole the complete audio document to listen to his book while doing something, by, for example, by commuting from home to the working place, or doing housekeeping or doing shopping whenever they're free. They can do something parallelly. And this new idea has proved to be very successful and very simple. People continue to pay for the book summaries, and they can listen. They don't have to download anything. They just listen to the audio explanation, to the book review made by Fandeng, this person, and get the content to expand their knowledge while doing something else. So his switch from PowerPoint to audio format was proved to be successful, and this is one of the most important experiments he did in the very beginning of the time, and this continued to be very popular, and people are satisfied and invite more people, more friends to join this book club. And with these numbers, with this data, they were success in in funding, in getting investment, in getting involving in investors to build our app. So it's within 1 year's time, they do very quick experiments and they build the app. And as I mentioned before, it's now the number one audio book review app in China with maybe more than 30 million users, active users in China. So now after more than 8 years of growth, this product, this service has grown from a single feature product, audio book summary, to a reading or book economy. So they're expanding their service to offline bookstores. They are collaborating with companies to organize book clubs inside the company to expand the knowledge of the employees. They're offering offline trainings and so on. So it has grown from one single feature product to a multiple feature to an ecosystem nowadays after 8 years. So I think I mentioned in my case study that it has a market value of 5 billion Chinese yuan. It's around about some 1.2 1 billion in Europe, something like that. So I want to connect with this case study with the theory I shared at the beginning. Don't fall in love with our business idea. Think critically. Sit down to do analyze, to put things into assumption mapping. Continue to test business idea, no matter what kind of idea. Do it very quickly and in a very agile way, and to learn from it and to validate the business idea before you decide to spend money on making important decisions. So I'm going to start. Feel free to ask any questions. Otherwise, I will start with the last part of my sharing, which is some of my own personal stories.
Okay, so there's one in the chat. Question is, would you convince people who never use a tool like this in order to do it? How would you convince people who never use a tool like this in order to do it? When I tried using something like this in a large corporation, sometimes I found some kind of doubts regarding how useful the tool is because they got used to testing an idea in a different way.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. Very good question. We usually have, especially if you're like me, like working in the corporate area, we have the job to introduce new tools to imply it into the other divisions and so on. It's really difficult to convince people to use a tool. So what I usually do is to start with also very simple formats. For example, organizing lunch and learn, introduce people to come for lunch, and then introduce something. Introduce to tell them a story, tell them your experience, tell them understanding, and ask them to. It's like a keynote, and then you might figure out who is interested in using the tools. And this is one way, and the other way, go to the decision maker and show them within 30 minutes time what you want to do, what you want to what are the benefit of applying such tools, and you might have to go to with a different management levels or different departments to start getting people who are interested. I know that in traditional companies, in large corporations, it's really difficult to convince people. So just by doing this very small, very frequent, small actions to find out some people who are convinced, who will be interested, and then there's no promise, but this is also small experiments from my experience or for people who like to introduce new tools. Yeah. But I'm sure I confirm to you it's very difficult. Yeah.
I was about to say the same thing. Use the same experiment mentality. I mean, if you're talking to people and saying try experiments, then even to convince them, I think we could try experiments, try different things. That's the only way we know what will work. There's no one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I know we have like 15 minutes, so I'm not going to get into any more questions, but we move on with the rest of the presentation, I guess.
Yeah, I need 5 more minutes to tell my own stories, how I run my own experiments. So I'm running currently some free experiments. The first one is a business ideas of mine last year. It's a platform which you can order your personal hairstylist to your home or to your working place. Go to the website and find out who is available, and you can ask this hairstylist to visit you at home or to visit you at the working place. And then this is a service, a peer-to-peer service. And I'm running this experiment currently with 2 students, and they set up this landing page for me. And we have really difficult in figuring out, in finding people from this hairstyling industry who are open for doing experiments with us. So if you think about the 3 topics of designing business, the feasibility is a very big problem. I cannot find supplier, and that's one learning from this simple example. The second example is that Coconut. It's an idea we generated with an international team from Hong Kong, from India, and so on, to build up a in a hackathon. We were in a hackathon. We want to build up an education platform to teach teenagers from 10 to 15 to learn more about sustainable development, the UN SDGs, the 17 SDG goals by doing projects. So some of the experiment we have done is that we want to address in people who in this age group 10 to 15 who can communicate fluently in English. But we find out that, okay, we have difficulty in recruiting such kind of people. They are too busy, or for different kinds of reason, we cannot find people. And then we switch to people in local language, like people, they speak Indian language or speak Chinese, Cantonese, and so on, but still it's very difficult. But anyway, we have done this, we have made up this landing page, and we send the address of this landing page to different people who have more experience in doing sustainable development and so on, and ask them for feedback. Or I send this landing page to people from the education area, from the non-profit area, to ask them for feedback, and we get very nice questions to get challenged from other people. And one of the kind of successful experiment is Agile Bakery. It's not Agile Breakfast. The idea behind is that I, as a Scrum Master, I collaborate with a baker in the local area, and we organize workshops. So my partner, he has some 10 stores in the region, and he's interested in this idea. He can offer the place for baking. And the idea behind is that baking has different kinds of have different steps. So we do it as a project and divide it into different sprints. And after in each sprint, there could be some doing parts, and there will be some theory parts, which I give the participants some ideas about how Scrum work in this way. So this is a combination of bakery, team building, and also learning something about agile project management. So this is a business idea behind. So what kind of things we have done so far? First, visibility. Am I available to offer such kind of workshop? Yes, my partner, he has place, and I have the knowledge, he has the experience, and so on. We set up the concept step by step. Second, desirability. Are people willing to join this workshop? Are they interested at all? So we ask people to join a pilot workshop, and after that, and ask them for feedback. So the result is that people are really feeling interested, because they can learn people they've never met before. They can learn something about how is the production process of a bread from dough to what you get in the stores, and they can learn something about Scrum and other things about user-centric development, such kind of things. They are very satisfied with the result of the project. And the problem we had so far is the viability, which means the cost for this workshop and the revenue. And we asked very openly about the participants' idea of how much would you like to pay for such a workshop. Yeah, and they tell them their opinions, and then we figure out, okay, what is the fixed cost, what is the viable cost, how can we make profit, and so on. And then we set up a landing page and send this landing page to different potential partners to test for the next test run. And we have figured out one potential customer who is willing to pay for it. Now but the problem is that we go back to the feasibility, because it is very difficult for me, my partner, and my customer to figure out a suitable appointment for the next experiment. And that's the current status of our business idea, because we are not running this idea full time. We cannot operate every day, so we just do it on weekends or on a weekday, which is suitable for the free aspects. So that is a continuous iterative process. We thought that, okay, we were feasible, people want to decide it, and once we figure out, okay, people want to pay for it, but it's not possible for us to find an appointment, and that's the problem. So this is the current status. It's not a very successful idea, but I think we can continue with the experiment and continue with it. Yeah, and that's my experience so far. And I will have a short summary. Testing business idea, as I mentioned quite a lot, it's about filling the gap of ideation and implementation, which means business design and business implementation. It's actually a mindset. As I said, yeah, we know it's difficult to convince people about using a new tool, but we have to do small experiments in this way to get people who are open for experiments. So that's so far from my side. You can feel free to ask any question. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. And I want to have an ad for my next action, which takes place on Wednesday evening next week. It's about storytelling and innovation with another team, Live Innovation Lab. I would like to. It's about a storytelling online workshop, and it's very interactive and will take place in 1 week's time. I would be very happy to meeting you again there on this interactive workshop. And you can have the PowerPoint from my side. It's no problem. There's some more resources you can read, go further. Then this is the end of my sharing. I will be very happy to answer some questions to do more sharings if you have any.
Thank you, Sam. So also, if you could make the presentation visible to all of us, I mean, available to me, then we would send it out to all the participants so that they could, make use of
Yep.
it. There's already one question that I see in the chat. They say that in my experience, corporations and companies that are highly engineering focused, an idea is always validated in terms of feasibility, but there's very little understanding that viability and desirability are also important. Do you have any lesson learned on how to change this approach?
I have negative experience. I can confirm you that large corporations, especially technology-oriented companies, which are my previous employer, they think about the feasibility. If I can have the technology to produce this product, and then they don't get close enough to the customer side, and then this could easily lead to failure, or as I mentioned at the beginning with the story, they have to switch the target group 3 years after the launch of the project, and it's really difficult. So I would say that as I said, it's negative learning experience. How to improve it? You have to figure out who is interested, who is open enough to do experiments. And by setting up very simple experiments, you can find a lot on the internet, in the book of Alexander Osterwalder and David Bland, how to set up very easy experiments. And once you get people involved in such easy experiments, and it will be much easier for people to adapt ideas, to use this experiment mindset, and so on. Yeah, that's the thing. I hope I can somehow answer your question.
Are there any other questions for Sam? If not, I go back to my set of slides. If you want to collaborate with us, we'll be happy to do that. If you want to like talk in the Agile Breakfast, we're also happy to do that. We could also help you in your Agile issues. So you could contact us further. Just go to our website, agilebyexperience.com, or write an email to us and we should be able to help you. A quick reminder again, this is also our experiment that we're running to really see if this is something that you want. So, and the only way for us to find out is by knowing your interest. So if you are interested in workshops, then please go ahead and sign up. And then we know that, yeah, this is something that you really want. But if there's nothing else, then I would really want to thank Sam for this session. I think I really enjoyed this. A great mix of theory and also practical knowledge on all the things that you've been doing. We would be sharing this presentation with you as well as the recording. And if there's nothing else, I guess we'd stop here and we'll see you again next month. Thank
Maybe
you.
I can have one last sentence from my side.
Sure.
Doing doing experiments are very individual things. You can buy this book and have a long list of how to do experiments, but concerning your own specific individual business idea, you have to design design the experiments very specific to your current problem. So it's not the theory can help you to have your basic understanding to have a foundation, but the thing is that you have to do it, to run it in an agile way. It's also very good if you really want to build your own company. You better not start on your own, like Shiva, like Sam and Manuel. Start as a team, do experiments. Yeah, so very helpful.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm going to also stop the recording.